She keeps putting her butt in my face.
Hey y'all,
What's going on, guys?
I'm Jay,
And I'm Chris the Bird Nerd,
and
and
we
we are
are the
the Bird
Bird
Brains.
Brains, and we are back. It has been a chaotic couple of, well, shoot, at this point, months. I
Yeah,
feel like every time we record, we're apologizing for not recording more.
I know.
One of the reasons it's been chaotic, and the topic of this episode is currently sticking her butt
You can
into
see that
view.
she's fanning me.
Yeah.
Can
So, man, she's come a long way. That's awesome.
you say hi, Candy?
Hey, hey, Miss
Can you say
Candy.
hi? Huh? Can you say hi?
Are you waving? She's waving. Um,
She's been a lot of fun.
so
We're
yeah, we're
trying
gonna
to
talk
keep
about
her in. We'll try and keep her in the
in the
view
shot.
as much as we can. So
So, yeah, today we're gonna mostly talk about Miss Candy here. And then Chris has some other new birds. So, been an exciting couple of months for Chris in the bird department, to say the least. So,
oh my
really,
goodness,
that's
yeah.
that's the focus of this episode. It's not going to be a Finch episode. It's going to be a hookbill episode, but it'll be interesting. So stick around and we'll get through it together.
The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. Bird Brains, Bird Brains. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. The Bird Brains Podcast with Chris and Jay. Bird Brains, Bird Brains.
All right, Chris, before we talk about some of these citizens, um, we'll talk about New Zealand briefly. Um, you know, New Zealand's been sponsoring us now for shoot, probably close
Yeah,
to 6 months.
I was gonna say it's been several months now. It's been great.
Yeah, they've been great. Use code BirdBrains. Go to their website, go to the Perchville section, get 10% off. You can get the Bird Brains Perch Box, which obviously I'm in a hotel. I don't have one to show you, but
Mine's out in the bird shed. Hey, stop putting
there
your
you
feathers in my face.
go. But if you've got a big macaw like Candy or down to the smallest finches like we both have, we have medication, seed, supplies for egg food, nutrients, supplements, toys, nesting material, nest boxes, you name it, it's on there. We're getting more stuff every week. Drop down in the comments if there's something you're like, man, they haven't gotten such and such yet, and I really need it. And then they ship anywhere in the continental U.S. And probably Hawaii and Alaska too. And I don't know about other
Probably,
places,
yeah, yeah.
but they've been a great sponsor. They have great stuff. Their shipping speed. I actually ordered myself some stuff last week as like a sort of like a secret shopper, and it got there quick. It got there in like 4 days. It was fast.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it's been really good. I signed up for the Perch Box, so I get those monthly, and it's really fun. I've gotten quite a few different toys. So I did the Bird Brains Perch Box, which Jay we've talked about focuses mostly on the smaller finch species, right? But I actually went on in and ordered some of the larger hookbill toys. I don't know, you probably can't see, but you've got a couple toys hanging there in the cage that man, she just mows through them. I mean, she macaws are pretty destructive, and she loves those toys that we put in there. And yeah, go check it out. And if you don't subscribe to the Perch Box, at least use the code BirdBrains, get 10% off your order, get a little bit discount. Covers pretty much the shipping costs of what you're getting. So yeah, definitely look into it.
yeah, absolutely. And you don't. Yeah, it's not just for the perch box. It's just anything on their site. So if you live somewhere, especially if you live somewhere not near like a good bird store and you can't get good quality seed, and we're not talking about what you can get at PetSmart or the grocery store or whatever. We're talking about real good quality seed mixes, pellets for your hook bills for all your birds. New Zealand is the answer for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. So speaking of toys, I've still got Candy's old cage in my garage. Um, I I have a guy I think is going to buy it, but he's got to get his tortoises out of the way first. And I'm
Oh, nice.
sympathetic. I understand. I'm sympathetic to I got to move this other animal before I can get this thing in. But
Yep,
Um,
100%.
yeah, so we've already talked about this on the Leather Elves, which is a really great parrot toy company. On their Facebook page, they have a like a Facebook Live every Friday night.
Yep.
And a couple weeks back, we broke the news about Candy. I was still pretty tired from the whole ordeal. Don't really remember what I said, but apparently it was good.
You rocked it. You did great.
Yeah, so Candy is a blue and gold macaw. She's 4 or 5 years old, or I guess 4 to 6. I think we decided she'd be
Cool.
5.
Yeah. I've
And
I've tried to I've tried to she does have a AFA band out there, and I tried to look up her information. I've had a hard time, so to at least get her birth year, because I should be able to find that from the band. But if anyone knows a good place for me to try and look that up, I've tried so many different places and haven't been able to figure it out. But then I could at least get her age.
I might be able to help you with that. I might be able to put you in touch with Buddy Waskey, who's the president of AFA and also a blue and gold breeder.
Oh, there we
Um,
go. Perfect.
so I mean, shoot, there's a chance she's from him. Who knows? But
Yeah.
Candy's mom passed away. It launched into this whole incredible saga. Fast forward to now, we are now what, probably a month and a half or so into
I'm
Candy
trying to.
being in the Murdoch residence.
Uh-huh. I think it's been a month and a week. So a week tomorrow. We got her. I picked her up on a Wednesday
That's
from the
right.
airport. So
Shout out
yeah,
the people at Atlanta Delta Air Cargo, and a veterinarian who I won't name, good friend of mine, um, for
yeah,
really jumping through some serious hoops with me. And then we got Candy safely to
yeah.
Utah.
Very
So
instrumental in helping out. So
let's start there, Chris. Let's start with you picking her up at the airport.
yeah, I was anxiously awaiting her at the Salt Lake airport. I've never picked up a bird at the airport before, believe it or not, Jay. It's usually been through other means, and so I wasn't quite sure what to do, what to expect. Forgot my travel papers, so I had to call Jay and get all the information to for them to legally give me the bird. And the funny thing is I don't think too many macaws come through our airport, especially in the wintertime, right? Because it's fairly cold, and I get this big crate, and she's like, "What's in there?" And I move some of the mesh on the wire, and she squawks, and the lady jumped back, and she's like, "Is that a macaw?" And then the whole office comes over, and they're taking a peek at Candy. So she was a star from the moment she landed in Utah. But yeah, we picked her up and brought her home and was able to get her settled before all my kids came home. Like Jace mentioned, her previous owner passed away. I would imagine that Candy didn't have too many other individuals, such as kids, that were rowdy in her life. And so I think that's been a big adjustment for Candy. I've got 4 young kids, and they're just as loud as Candy is. And, so I think the first few days it was quite the adjustment for Candy. I think she was like, "What is going on?" She'd get really excited. She still does. It's in the mornings for school, and when the kids get home from school is probably when she's the most vocal and wanting to be a part of the commotion that's going on in the house. And so it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, we picked her up and brought her home. She took food right away out of my hands, but she wouldn't let me touch her, wouldn't really let me get closer. She'd want to bite me, which is reasonable, right? She just got shipped across the US to someone she's never met before and a male figure. She's used to a female owner. And she took to my wife pretty quick, which was good. I needed that to happen because my wife is not, believe it or not, she's not much of an animal person, and she's got a whole house full of animals and creatures. And so I think she knew she needed to make good with my wife, and she took to her pretty quick. Let my wife hold her, pick her up a few times, about a day and a half after we had her, and then I've just spent the last month just working with her every day, and we've built a pretty good relationship. She's been a great bird. She lets me pet her now. I hold her up and down. Have done we do training sessions every day, and I do them with my kids to try and socialize her and get her used to my kids too. She really has come leaps and bounds as far as accepting me as someone that she trusts, and she'll still have her moments, but and I don't trust her enough to just like grab her and hug her and snuggle her. But we've established a pretty cool, a pretty neat bond to as she's like, don't touch me. She's probably pretty. You saying sorry? It's okay.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're working to establish a good bond and keep going with her and giving her a routine. We changed her diet. We put her on the Hagen pellets and giving her some fresh veggies and fruit each day. Just trying to help out with the diet. You can see that she has kind of chewed up her feathers, and that was like that before she came to us, right? But hopefully, just trying to change some of those behaviors with her, give her some enrichment, and lots of
Yeah,
socialization out of her cage.
I mean, I was gonna say, Chris, just this. I mean, this is leaps and bounds, right? So it's kind of funny, I only spent about like probably what 30 hours or so with Candy, and in that time, I'm a bird guy, right? And I've helped hand feed a blue and gold macaw, and the closest I could get to even interacting with her is I had her on in my mom's basement for a night, and I let her out of her travel crate, and we were this is so funny. And I let her, kind of walk around, and I laid on the ground next to her, and she wouldn't even, it's not like she even came up to me, but she kind of walked past me. And that
Yeah,
was the closest she would let me get. I mean, she certainly had never, I don't think she'd ever even seen a kid before. Her owner died of essentially of old age. And the owner's son, who I met when I went to get her, was probably 10 years older than me, if not 15. I mean, so I would say the youngest person she's probably ever been around is like mid 30s,
yeah,
which I think is me. So, big adjustment down to kids. And then, I mean, she looks night and day better from when I first saw her, even with the feather condition she's in now. She was
yeah,
a lot worse for wear when you got her. You've clearly been doing a great job with her, and just to see her sitting here casually grooming herself and letting you touch her and
yeah.
talk and be near her. I mean, none of those things were happening uh 6 weeks ago. They just weren't.
Right. Yeah.
So
No, and
this is a dream.
we have gotten her to take baths. So this last 2 weeks, I mean, she was really scared, really essentially scared of everything, like you said, Jay. I mean, any loud noise, any quick movement, cars driving by, because she's got a big window here that she can look out. Cars driving by, and it startles her. And so she's come a good ways as far as just settling down, being more calm and relaxed, even when there's chaos around the house, even when my kids are running around. We've gotten her to start to enjoy baths better. I've ordered a perch to go put in my shower. Now that I'm comfortable holding her, I think it'll be fun to start showering her in the bathroom where she has a constant stream of water. But for right now, we've just been doing spray bottles, and she's gotten to the point where she's flapping her wings and preening her feathers as I'm spraying her and things like that, which is great. And really trying to do that to help her with her feathers there. Hi, sweetie. How are you?
Yeah, I mean, this is awesome. I
So
mean, I've been getting, almost daily updates from Chris. I mean, the first one, the first time anyone, I think it took what, 2 or 3 days for your wife to even be able to hold her.
yeah,
And I remember just like, cheering out loud when I got that video. And
yeah,
now here we are, and we're just palling around. This is so cool. And so I guess let's go through a few things. So you get the bird, she's in kind of rough shape, and I really don't think she was in like bad health. But I think she was in certainly in bad feather condition. I think I would say like bad mental health.
yeah,
Um, and so um the first thing you need to do with any big pair, right? This is like a big sentient, intelligent creature. And I think we don't give the finches and the other small hookbills enough credit to just to make them feel like you're not going to eat them, right? Is
right,
there all the birds we're talking about, with the exception of like very few percentage wise, like your raptors and stuff like that, almost all birds are basically they're a prey animal, right? So
right,
macaws eat in the wild, they would eat like unripened fruit and nuts and things like that, and then things would try to eat them.
Yeah.
So their natural reaction, look at her trying to hold, she wants to step up so bad. That's
Yeah,
so funny.
she wants me to hold her, but we're gonna keep her on the perch. Who's stay on the perch?
And
Stay there.
the so just to get it to where, hey, I'm not trying to eat you is such a
Right,
huge deal for them. And isn't an overnight thing. I mean, this is almost like adopting at this point a very performative child,
right,
and they've got to fit in. And then also, it, this is like a two-way street, right? Because when you got her, your wife gives you like kind of the tentative, we can try it, but certainly not a
right,
forever green light. And then, what if she can't get there, right? What if she can't ever be comfortable with you? What if she can't be comfortable with the kids? I mean, we didn't know,
right.
which is
Yeah.
why we've waited so long to have this episode. Um, but I mean, you've clearly done a great job. So, as far as getting her switched over to the Hagen pellets, was that easy? Was that hard? How's her appetite been
Um,
through this process?
she took to it pretty good at first. And then she kind of slowed down on it. We had a couple weeks where I had to like mix in a few treats for her to like start foraging through the pellets and start going. Lots of times like I'd hand feed her the pellet, she would just bite it and drop it, like she wouldn't eat any of it because it was kind of like a, I don't want that, I want I want the other stuff. But now we've got her on a pretty good routine, so we don't feed her any nuts or things like that unless we're training her or rewarding good behavior. I know, I know, I know. You just want to play, huh? And then in the mornings we give her a fresh chop that we've created every day, and I actually get recipes from Bird Tricks. They've got some pretty good different recipes for large hook bills that I've really enjoyed, and can give a good variety to her. So we give that in the morning, and then in the afternoon is when we will bring in her pellets, and then usually right before work I'll try and do a quick little training session with her, and then when I get home from work, usually in the evening times, once after I put the kids to bed, this is kind of our bonding moment. That's why she's wanting to be held so much, because this is her favorite time of the day. This is where she gets one-on-one time with me, and we can hang out, and she's quiet. But so yeah, I think the transition was better than I was expecting, honestly, Jay. And I think Hagen's done a great job at making their foods desirable, and the birds enjoy it. And so I think that has definitely helped. But yeah, she's fully transitioned. I only feed her those pellets with the fresh chop, and then some nuts and fruit scattered throughout for training purposes and things like that. So it's been good.
That was kind of similar to the experience I had with Einstein. The first couple days, I think it was because it was kind of new. He was very into the pellets, and then we had like maybe a week or a couple weeks where it was like, maybe not. And now Einstein's to the point where he's super like, I do feed him fresh food because I think that's good for their diet and
Yeah,
mental health and all these things. But they really do a great job. It's a real complete diet,
yeah.
that's well set up. So no, I mean that's great. And then um, have you had any other, like, I guess let me ask you this way: what are some things that have happened with her that you didn't expect?
Um, I didn't expect her to bond with me as quickly as she did. I didn't expect her to be as tolerant around my children, which is a huge plus, right? When I have her out on the perch like this, and my kids, they're running. If they run by her, she'll get defensive. But they feed her snacks and treats. Like I said, I intentionally do training sessions with them so that Candy can get used to them. So that was a big bonus. And
Look at this
probably
wing
my
begging. Yeah.
I know I think she's getting hormonal. So, you saying hi? Say hi,
Well, it is springtime.
hi.
Right.
Um, her vocabulary is huge. I did not expect her to have as big of a vocabulary as she does as far as saying human words. She probably says a mixture of 12 to 15 different words, and then she'll mix up the combinations and how she'll do that. She has picked up how to say mom from my 4 year old. He says mom a lot, and she now will say it and sounds almost just like my toddler, which is pretty insane and crazy how quickly she picked that up. But so that's been really fun, actually. I think that's probably been my kids' favorite part. If she wants something, or if we're doing training sessions, or we've got her favorite snack, she's pretty good to on cue say hi and hello, um, and then she'll start getting crazy and she'll just throw off all these different words. She does like this evil laugh, which is hilarious, and my kids can't get enough of it. And if we turn on the TV and we've got her in the other room and she can see us through the hallway, it kind of connects us to our living room. She'll just start doing this evil laugh every time that the she hears the TV and people laughing on the TV and stuff like that. So that's been really fun. So I guess just the interactions have surprised me quite a bit, and I've really enjoyed that. Probably my biggest negative is the noise. Man, they are loud, and she has her moments. And I've tried to be intentional and like strategically placing her through the house throughout the day so that she feels included with what's going on and isn't as loud. But when I'm at work and my wife's getting kids ready for school and whatnot, she's in the cage. She can get really loud, and so still trying to convince my wife on that piece. So yeah, but which we knew getting into it, right, Jay? Burton macaws are loud, but I don't think you realize how loud they are until you're in the room with them and your ears are ringing when
Yeah, they can
she's
really,
she
I mean, she
starts going
got
to
me
town.
a couple of times. It was like, oh man.
So, but other than that, I feel like it's been mostly positive. Great. I've loved her. I mean, I think this is. I never thought I'd get a macaw, and thanks to you, Jay, you helped with that. And
It was by accident.
I it really was, but I haven't been disappointed, to be truthful with you. It's been so fun, and each day is just I feel like I'm taking two steps forward each week, right? And so, this what 3 days ago she finally stepped up on my hand without me having to give her a treat, right? Because I kind of trained her as a trick to here's a treat, step up on my hand, and now she's wanting to step up without me having to give her a reward, which I'm super excited about, right? Because that means that she trusts me as someone to take care of her and to bond with me and to step up. And so that's been really fun. But I still am also very cautious around her. I'm still trying to understand her behaviors and what kind of triggers her and what doesn't, and things like that. And so, but yeah, it's been fun. We've had a good time so far. It's been a good ride on Candy.
And as far as flying, have you seen any indication that she knows how, that she even, I mean,
So
does she even like jump down off of things or?
she's attempted to fly twice, and she basically went straight to the ground. I mean,
Yeah.
she's fully flighted. You can see, show your wings. You can see that she's got all of her flight feathers,
Mhm.
and but I don't think she's ever flown before. So I think if she was outside and got spooked, she could probably fly a decent distance, but she really hasn't tried much. I would love to down the road flight train her and try and get her to build those muscles up. My wife the other day, it was starting to get a little bit warm, and she's like, "Man, we should take her outside." And I'm like, "No, like I just don't. I want her to go outside and get some sun, but I don't know what could happen, what she's capable of." Um, like I said, the one time she really tried to fly, she didn't make it very far. He kind of went down on the ground pretty hard, but and then she just walks around the floor like a lost puppy, and you can just hear her claws clinking
Click,
around on the
click, click,
hardwood
click, click,
floors,
click, click. Yeah.
and it's pretty funny. And she'll actually let me pick her up around her wings when she's on the ground, like
Mm.
grab her full body and pick her up, which I thought was pretty interesting. But I think she did cuddle with her previous owner quite a bit and have a lot of those interactions. But I just am not quite there, comfortable wise or comfort level wise, to trust that I'm not going to get chomped on. So still taking
Well,
it a day at a
and
time.
I think that, I got a couple thoughts here. So I think the first thing that you haven't actually outright said it, but you're living it in your actions. You know, that one thing that I've said before on this podcast, and that I think is important to just say again right here is patience with birds is the whole game. And I don't just mean patience with tricks or holding or talking or anything. I mean patience across the board, right? So with breeding, with keeping, with food, with diet changes, with new foods, with new environments. Slow is your friend. You know, I've never heard. somebody be like, man, I wish I'd done this sooner with a bird, except for getting one.
Yeah.
But Candy, we think, worst case, she's 6 years old. We think
Yeah.
that means we've got, if we're lucky, we don't know really what the diet was before, the quality of life, but hopefully decades of time
Yeah.
with Candy. So,
Right.
this week, last week, there's just no rush, right? It's not an emergency. As far as flight training, first you got to harness train. And
Yeah.
shout out Aviator Harness Company, Aviator Bird Harness Company. They've sent me a harness for Einstein, and it's going to be a lot. I started filming it thinking it would be like a 6 week process, and I'd say every bird's different. I know some birds take to harness training like that. Some birds take a lot longer. And then also like my lack of consistency that I've been too busy. Einstein's not, he's not afraid of the harness anymore, but he's certainly not harness trained yet.
Right.
But
Right.
before we do the outside thing, harness is good because look, you could have the best trained bird in the world, but like we talked about, they're a prey animal, and so that a hawk flies over, even if it's
Yep.
not going to try to eat candy, it just flies
Right.
over, and off she goes, out of fear, a
Right.
mile down the road, and then where'd she go? And then it just leads to bad outcomes.
Yeah.
And I'm not certainly not saying don't free fly your bird. But that is a huge, big, serious commitment and also has some risk.
Yeah.
And so before you flight train, you probably need to be harness trained. You probably need to be crate trained. You need to be recall trained. I mean, you need to be able to
Right.
fly well.
Right.
I mean, there's 100 things. So like in November will be 2 years of me having Einstein.
Geez,
And
that long already?
or
Man, that's awesome, dude.
yeah, that's right. Yeah, yeah. So I got him in November of 23. So
Yeah.
yeah, in November will be
That's
two
awesome.
years, and I'm just now working on getting Einstein to fly. And the progress I've made, I've been probably trying to do it for like 3 or 4 months, and that means daily like exercise and kind of encouraging and setting some things up for like putting him on a table and putting a treat on the couch.
Yeah.
And he can either crawl all the way down and crawl all the way up, or he can do like a little like 1.5 foot flight across. And I'm just now getting him to be able to do those things. And he's kind of in a similar boat with Candy. His wings were clipped. Einstein's a good bit older. He's like 18,
Yeah.
and his wings were clipped, as far as we know, like his whole life. And so he's just now getting to where he'll fly, 1 to 3 feet, and it's still not graceful or elegant by any means. I would call it almost like a controlled crash,
Yeah.
but I don't worry anymore when he gets ready to do it, he's going to hurt himself.
Right.
And when I first got him, like he was on my shoulder once and fell off my shoulder, and I caught him. Otherwise, he would have just plopped on the ground like a rubber chicken, you know?
Yeah.
So it's all just takes time, but you're doing it the right way. You're going slow, you're building trust, you're building the relationship. And those are that's what, to be successful, the reason so many of these big birds end up in rescue situations really is they're loud. People don't take the time to build trust. They don't take the time to teach the bird and say, I've had this bird a year and it doesn't do anything and it just wants to bite me and it just screams at me. It's like, well, you know, what have you done to help the bird help you?
Right.
It's a two-way street.
Right.
But you're nailing it. I'm really, really proud of you and really, really proud of Candy. She's doing great, and it's
Thanks.
just a
Yeah, it's
joy to watch her preen her feathers and not chewing them, just cleaning them up.
yeah. Yep. I'm hoping that she's developing healthy preening habits, and I haven't seen her chomp her feathers for a good while, but she's obviously, you can see she's chomped a good amount of them since before she came, and then those first couple weeks, I think, just stressed and new situations, and so really hoping for those new feathers to come in, and that she'll allow them to come in. Like I said, we're trying to provide lots of different enrichment activities, baths, things like that, nutrition changes, in hopes to really bring her good feathers back, and really show how beautiful she is, fully feathered. So
Yeah, I can't wait to see her in feather. It's coming. and she's just a gorgeous bird. And I think too, like Einstein in this, year and a half now, I guess he's come such a long way as far as making appropriate noise and what scares him and what doesn't and what he's used to. Because, I have young kids too, and at first, he would freak out,
Yeah,
do a huge, big, loud noise. And eclecticists are just as capable of being, ear-shattering loud as a macaw when they want to be. And my kids would get near him, and he would just, think of it as like a train,
right.
and that we don't really get that anymore. We still get occasionally we get a little, but we don't get,
Yeah,
the move out of the way anymore.
yeah,
So it all just takes time and adjustment and everybody figuring it out, and then not rewarding that, right? So you
right.
just you learn, at first people jump and stuff. Like my wife would jump terribly when Einstein made that noise, and so he's
Yeah,
getting a feedback there, right? And whether he understands it's a good feedback or just feedback is kind of up in the air. So it's better to just have, you just try to kind of let that go in
right.
one ear and out the other, for lack of a better
Yeah.
description. But no,
I'm I'm
they're awesome.
I'm pretty sure I jumped the first week when she would do her, I'm just not used to the loudness. My little 4-year-old, he cried the first day, the first time that she really made it that a really loud call when he was in the room. But then after that, she really has gotten good. It's just getting them on a schedule, helping them understand, strategically putting them in places, rewarding the good behavior, like you said, Jay. You can't train a bird to be quiet, and I don't ever want to do that. But
No.
what we can do is train her to do the fun, happy, positives, the fun words and the interactions when she wants something, things like that. And so we are definitely rewarding that positive behavior with her in hopes that she learns that and continues. You wanting to step up too? It's way past her bedtime, but yeah, no, it's been fun, man. We've loved every minute of it so far, and I know it's just only been a little over a month into it, but one of the best things that I feel like could have happened to me. So I think it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's great for her. It's great for you. It's a happy success story. And we'll check in a few months, we'll keep going, because look, it's not these things are fluid. These are relationships. We're working on through all these things, but we'll check back in. But yeah, I mean, I honestly think where we could be today and where we are, I think this is just best case scenario for Candy. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm thrilled.
And those that are listening, I know I've actually since Robin's Facebook page that we talked on, I've had several people reach out that have macaws and have given me some really cool pointers and tips. So those that are listening, I'd love to. I'm a newbie at this, right? I feel like I'm an expert in the finch world. I'm a newbie in the large parrot world, huh? Yeah, you can say hi. And so drop some comments down below. Let me know what some other things that I can do to help out. I think this behavior right here is a lot of hormonal behaviors. We are coming into springtime and breeding season.
Well, some
And
of
I'm
that
trying not
wing
to trigger
begging
those
is
hormones,
just
but
attention.
yeah, yeah. So, but I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts and comments and things that I can incorporate down the road into her care. I'm always open for learning new stuff. So would love to hear you guys' thoughts.
Yeah, this is fun. Yeah, I mean, look, we say it on this podcast a
What?
lot, but
What?
birds are
Okay,
awesome,
good job.
right? I mean, whether you're talking about the tiniest little newborn finch or a big blue and gold macaw, which is one of the largest uh captive birds, pet birds that there is. I mean, it's just fantastic. So I'm thrilled for you. I'm thrilled for Candy, and I think we'll wrap this one up here.
Yeah,
But yeah, don't forget to go to New Zealand. Use
yeah,
code Birdbrains for 10% off.
Bird
And
brains, bird
yeah, if you're a
brains,
macaw
the
person,
Bird
drop in
Brains
the comments.
podcast with
If
Chris and
if
Jay.
you're
The
not,
Bird Brains
drop in the
podcast with Chris
comments
and
too.
Jay. The
And
Bird Brains, Bird
we'll check
Brains,
back in on the
the
whole
Bird
candy
Brains podcast with
situation,
Chris and
in a
Jay. The
couple of
Bird Brains
weeks.
podcast with Chris and
sounds
Jay.
good.
The Bird
Appreciate you
Brains
guys.
podcast with
All
Chris
right.
and
Thanks,
Jay.
y'all.